Meeting of City Council for Tuesday, April 8th, 2025. City Dawson Creek acknowledges that we are privileged to live and work on Treaty 8 territory in the traditional home of the Cree, Danaze, Saulteaux, Siksika, and Slavey First Nations. We value the Métis peoples that live and gather here. We commit to upholding the respectful relationships these nations have built with the land, and we acknowledge our responsibility to carry that forward today and into the future. First order of business is 2 delegations. 2.1, we have Sherri Mytopher with MS Canada representative in attendance regarding the proclamation to declare May 2025 as MS Awareness Month in Dawson Creek. So welcome, Sherri, and good morning. Right. Whereas MS Awareness Month is to be held across Canada from May 1st to the 31st, 2025. Whereas multiple sclerosis is a neurological disease affecting approximately 1 in 400 Canadians and over 90,000 across the country. Whereas MS symptoms vary widely and may include fatigue, lack of coordination, weakness, tingling, impaired sensation, vision problems, bladder and bowel problems, and continued cognitive and mood changes. And whereas MS is thought to be caused by a combination of genetic, environmental, and lifestyle risk factors. And whereas annual fundraising events such as the MS Walk, MS Bike, and A&W's Canada's Burgers to Beat MS campaigns support programs to enhance the lives of people affected by MS and help support research in Canada. And whereas together we will find ways to connect and empower the MS community to create positive change and see a world free of MS. Now, therefore, I, Darcy Dover, Mayor of the City of Dawson Creek, do hereby proclaim May 2025 as MS Awareness Month in the City of Dawson Creek and encourage all citizens to join me in this worthy observance. So, yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you for coming in. And, yeah, such a huge, all of it is so big, right? And how much you do to promote the awareness of this and help. So, yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'll speak a little bit. So every 2 hours, someone in Canada is diagnosed with MS. Most people are diagnosed with MS between the ages of 20 and 49, with the average age of people with MS being 39 years old and 79% being women. The annual cost of MS to Canada is more than $3.4 billion annually. BC's share is of the $3.4 billion is $477.9 million, $190 million for health system costs, $183.6 million for productivity costs, and $103.5 million in other costs. So, as an example, my medication for MS for 14 pills costs $60,000. And not covered by my private insurance. Thankfully, BC Pharmacare paid for that, but that's not the case for everybody. So sometimes medication can be upwards of $5,000 per month, but for those 14 pills for 2 weeks of treatment is $60,000, and then again next year for the same pills. So medication is a huge cost and not covered by everybody. And a lot of people are on disability income, so that's very minimal as well. So that's definitely a huge cause for concern, especially now when we have an election coming up. Is something that we definitely try to, promote and get our MLAs involved in.
Absolutely.
But throughout the month of May, by having the MS flag raised here in Dawson Creek and having May proclaimed MS Awareness Month, shows Dawson Creek residents who are affected by MS that we aren't alone and we can help navigate MS together. So thank you again for your support once again.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you. And that's a pretty shocking statistic on females too, right? Yes. What did you say, 70%?
Yeah, 75%,
wow.
7 to 79, yeah.
And so is there something like that you encourage women at a certain age, to get to, is there anything you can do to get tested or help?
No, and it varies for case to case. I was 32 when I was diagnosed, and so that was 11 years ago. And it just so happened I had numbness in my body on the one side, and I went to the doctor, to ER, because I started Googling, which I know you shouldn't do, but I did. And the doctor then was like, you pinched a nerve, come back in 6 weeks. Well, the numbness ended up going from my face down right to my foot on my right side. So I was like, no, something's up. So I went to the walk-in clinic, and right away, luckily, he was like, we're gonna send you for a test, and the test is an MRI. So an MRI will determine if you have lesions on your brain, spine, or neck. And I did. So, but my diagnosis and to start treatment, because we live up here and there's not neurologists, it was about 1.5 years before I even got a full concrete diagnosis, and then started treatment 2 years. So the delay for me having to travel to Edmonton, to Prince George, back to Vancouver, like it was crazy. And the delay in diagnosis and treatment, starting your treatment can definitely make your MS, worse, or you never know what it's going to be. So there's different types of MS, and I have relapse remitting, so that means that you can have relapses for like once a year, once every couple months, whatever the case is. I currently am having a relapse now in my skull, and it's very different. So women will know this, but this feeling of when you don't wash your hair, or you wear your hair in a ponytail for too long and it hurts to move, that's what's happening all around in my nerves. And they want to inject steroids into the base of my skull, but nowhere does it up here, and we're not sure where I can even go to get that done. So this has been going on for a month, and again, it's where we live, and that's part of the issues that we have up here. But
and part of what you're doing to bring awareness and help.
That's why awareness is so important. So.
Yeah. Well, thank you for coming in, and thank you for sharing your story.
Yeah,
actually,
absolutely.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So I will sign this, and then we're gonna get a picture with all of council up here too, if we can. So is there things, that we can do? I mean, obviously learning these stats, and, you talked about an election and to advocate for that, but is there other things, or if there is?
I mean, we do like I do a big fundraiser in Fort St. John and a silent auction, and, it's just people being involved and like supporting. The A&W Burgers to Beat MS is huge, so we have an A&W here. I come down, go buy a burger that day. That's like super important, and fundraising for that. So I think just raising awareness and understanding more about MS.
What day is the A&W?
It's in August.
Oh, it's in August. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing your story
Yes,
today.
absolutely.
Someone has to be the guy at the counter.
Yeah, of course. I don't mind. Awesome. Well, thank you again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you again for sharing your story.
Of course.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I put my paper back here.
Oh, okay.
We didn't need that in the picture. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks. Have a nice day.
Yes, you too.
Should I? Page of stats. Father, 3 daughters, that was shocking.
Another stat is if anybody's had mono or Epstein-Barr virus, that's one of the things, one of the triggers for MS, which is a new statistic. So,
Oh, really?
and a lot of people have that and didn't know. So don't be kissing random people.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a nice day. All right, our next order of business is 2.2. Jamie Gillingham, Health and Safety Officer with City Dawson Creek, in attendance regarding the proclamation to declare April 28th, 2025 as the annual day of mourning in Dawson Creek. So welcome, Jamie. Good morning.
Thank you.
All right, whereas the annual day of mourning will be observed across Canada on April 28th, 2025, whereas the day of mourning was initiated by the Canadian Labour Congress in 1984 and is recognized worldwide, and whereas the day of mourning is a time to remember lost co-workers, friends, and family members who have lost their lives, have been injured or disabled in the workplace, or suffered from occupational diseases, and whereas we reaffirm our commitment to workplace health and safety by reflecting on the importance of prevention and setting an example for future improvements. Now therefore, I, Darcy Dober, Mayor of the City Dawson Creek, do hereby proclaim April 28th, 2025 as the annual day of mourning. in the city of Dawson Creek, and encourage all citizens to join me in this solemn observance. So, yeah, just an amazing thing. I mean, it's great to know in 2024 that we had a very successful year with the team at the city, and we appreciate all levels of the city. When I say team, I mean that, and this council does, that we're all in this together. So for us to, have a year last year that, everybody was able to make it home every day and have their families and their lives, that's critical to us. And at the end of the day, that's the most important thing in life is, family and life. So we're grateful that the city team at all levels, takes that seriously. And, so.
Same.
Yeah. I don't know, did you want to add anything to? I think they turned that off. There you go.
Thank you. I just have one piece to add. We are holding a ceremony for the day of mourning on April 28th. The ceremony is from 10:30 in the morning till 11, and we are offering light refreshments after, and this is open to the public and all staff, so I encourage everyone to attend. Because, like you say, it's like the goal is to reinforce that safety matters, and we want everyone to go home. That's the main goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Not just at the city, everywhere, right?
Yes.
So, and where is it being held?
Oh, sorry. Thank
That's
you.
all right.
City Hall, front lawn,
Make sure I
at
show
the
up.
Workers'
Yeah.
Memorial. Yeah, that's
So
like
just up
the
front.
trick. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was the guessing part of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Perfect. Well, thank
Thanks,
you.
Jordan.
Yeah, you're welcome. I get a picture before you.
Awesome.
There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thanks, you too.
Don't want to bump you while you're taking a sip of your coffee there. All right, let's get a the agenda. 2.3 is not here today, was unable to make it. So next, 2.4, we have Shaun Henry, President of the Dawson Creek Judo Association, in attendance regarding the request for support Battle of Peace Judo Tournament. So, and Dax, I didn't catch your last name, so if you want to just state it when we start, that would be good. But good morning to both of you.
Good morning. Green light means go.
Yeah, you bet.
Okay, hi, I'm Shaun Henry. I am the president of the Dawson Creek Judo Association. I brought with me Dax Norman, who is a Mile Zero Judo under 18 athlete. I brought him so he could field any of the really difficult questions. So we've presented a couple times, and council's been generous enough to support us in the past. We have our annual Battle of the Peace Judo tournament, and save for a hiatus through COVID, we've been going pretty consistently every year. I think we're into year 7 of the tournament now. We've hosted it at places. We hosted it in a couple of school venues. We had a couple years that we hosted it at the Ovintiv Center, which was a big venue for us, almost too big, and council was helpful at that time to give us a good rate on the space, and that was really neat. So we've been continuing to try to grow this tournament, as it is like one of our biggest athlete development pieces for kids in our community that are taking on the sport. And it is a really great fundraising opportunity for the Dawson Creek Judo Association. Our goal, and spoke to it a little bit in our letter, is to support judo development, support the athletes that are taking on the sport in the Dawson Creek and regional area. And so a lot of that comes with supporting travel costs for athletes and families, because we can do our inter-club practice and competition, small SHIAs and that kind of thing, but really to develop to high levels. And Dax, who's with me, is on track to compete at nationals, as well as a couple of our other athletes. And if you want to ask him about that, that would be great. But I think what we aim to do as an association is to further those journeys. And so we look to fundraise, and we look to spend all of the money that we do fundraise. And so in the case of the judo tournament that we'll be hosting, the Battle of the Peace, put that back towards all of our competitors. An example of our growth and what was happening this year, the BC Judo Provincial Championships were held last weekend in Prince George. We brought 30 competitors that competed across every single division from under 8 to veteran athletes. And the Mile Zero Judo team brought back 20 medals, comprising 7 gold, 7 silver, and 6 bronze medals. So for our club and community, and for the association's support getting athletes there, it was really prideful moment. And so we'd like to see that continued growth. We've been able to partner with other clubs from around the area, having athletes from Wembley and Grand Prairie come and train with us. And they've been coming because they like what we're doing here, and it affords them an opportunity from smaller clubs to train with something good that's going on here as well. So I think, like, coming to our request, it was brought to my attention, we have 160 youth swim passes was the request to help our tournament. It should read 100. We asked for 100 last year, and the idea behind that is we have approximately 50 youth athletes, and we expect around 40 or 50 youth athletes to come to this tournament. And so the goal would be able to put a swim pass in each of their hands to encourage them to go and use that facility. It has been an encouragement of the past, I know, for kids to get together. Dax and others train at at the regional trainings for the BC team in Prince George, and so they have really good friendships with those kids that are coming here, and it provides at least that opportunity for them to get together and do something socially, as well as maybe another encouragement to stick around, have a meal, have a swim, that kind of thing while they're here. And I know, like, we would be grateful and happy if that pass was valid for just the weekend or the week or a month. I know last year when we got them, they were valid for a whole year, and it was noted from city staff about, like, how many were being used, and I didn't know what the stats would be on that, but I think, like, when we are able to put that swim pass in with our tournament packages, it is a nice encouragement and benefit, regardless of the use. So I think if you have any questions for me or for Dax about his experience, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Shaun, for coming in. I appreciate the update, and really appreciate just sharing the information and what this does for youth in our community and how that helps us, helps the community stronger. So just before I'd open up to council, Dax, if you're comfortable, I wouldn't mind, like, hearing a bit from you, just like maybe a bit on your journey and then what you have coming up with the Nationals, and yeah.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, could you say that again? Sorry, I'm just...
Just an update, like maybe what you have coming up, like Shaun was saying Nationals, and then maybe if there's any thing you wanted to touch on from your journey that you'd maybe want to share with us or other youth in the community.
Well, I plus a few other kids from our club are going to Nationals in Calgary on May 15th to 18th.
Oh,
it's
nice.
a very great experience for us. It's great learning experience, and it's probably the biggest tournament some of these kids will have for a few years. Because of our judo association, and have been able to have growth, like, and exceed, and been selected to go to Brazil in July for a tournament for Team BC because of the support that our association has given me.
Wow, good for you. That's exciting.
Thank you.
And you're going?
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Is this your first time going to Nationals?
No, I went to nationals last year.
Okay.
I got bronze in my division.
Okay.
Which I was very proud of.
Nice, good for you. That's excellent. And so how do the divisions work? Are they age or are they weight class?
Age and
Okay.
weight class. So I'm in U18, so that's 17, 16, some 15-year-olds, and minus 73 kilograms.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Wow, and you got bronze. That's amazing.
I was
so,
very excited.
So you're going for gold this year, though, or?
I don't know. New division. So
Oh, is it a new
yeah, I was
division?
U16 last year, and this year I'm U18, and
That's exciting.
high level competition in U18.
So the competition in Brazil, is that like worlds or how, what is that?
It's just an international competition. For what I was told is it's the members from Team BC selected to go were on course to compete for in the Canada Games 2027.
Wow.
So it's like a experience, so we can get used to that international competition.
Kind of get you ready for that level.
Mm-hmm.
How many youth or members of the judo club from Dawson Creek are going to that?
Just me so far.
Wow. Wow, good for you. So it's you definitely have earned it then.
Thanks.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
Yeah, Dax is an inch, like he started in 2018 and we had like with COVID, we lost a lot of athletes of his age group. Yeah, so he's like our sole U18 and then we're missing a whole group of kids that were coming up with him because we lost them through COVID. And now we have another group that is really coming up and all of our athletes, U16 and down, we've got like nice big groups of kids, so. And Dax is doing a fantastic job of now coaching, being that leader in the club and like role model, right? Like they see these experiences that he's having and they want that as well. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, good for you, Dax. Good for you for doing that. And you know, with through COVID, losing a lot of your peers to continue that, right? So it's even that much more impressive, like that you're representing BC out of, you know, a smaller age group in this region. So that's amazing. So congratulations.
thank you.
You're welcome. I'll just open it up to council for questions. Councillor Parslow.
I'm just curious, where's this event going to be held in the community?
The last 2 years it was at Central School. It's going to be up at a called Frank Ross because Central wasn't available this year. So we're going to host it out of that gym there. I think like the space is basically able to handle it, but like we're on that cusp of even that space not really being sufficient for the size of what the tournament has become now. So we'll be looking, like exploring other options, I think, and talking about that post this event, seeing how it goes. But yeah, I call Frank Ross this year.
And where do you train? What facility do you use for training?
So the Mile Zero Judo Club is located, I can't remember the physical address, but it's right next to Gridiron Fitness and what would have been the old Corleane's
Oh, yes. Yeah.
building there.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Yep.
that's where we train at.
You've been in there a time or two, haven't you? Yeah. Thank you,
Oh,
Councillor
that was
Parslow.
recognizable.
Yeah. Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Worship. How many days is your tournament?
So it'll be Saturday, and so weigh-ins on Friday and then Saturday tournament.
Oh, okay. And when is it actually?
May 2nd, 3rd weekend.
May 2nd, 3rd. So it's the last event you have before you head off to nationals,
Yes.
then your last warm-up. Those were my only questions. Councillor Parslow got my other two there, but just congratulations. Well done, young man. Keep going. Keep being a leader to your group and your peers. We love seeing it. That's amazing.
Thank you. I will.
I think too, like with the tournament, like the kids that Dax is training with in Prince George, like they bring a bus with all athletes from all three clubs that train at these regional trainings, and this becomes their last like warm up, tune up opportunity as well, and the head like regional sensei down there is really committed to continuing that relationship with us, which is really good as well.
That's great, yeah. It's amazing. Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Councillor Applin.
thank you for coming, and again, thank you, congratulations. That's just regarding the venue, I would like to suggest, like, did you try the O'Brien Gymnasium at the Networks?
No.
It's a good size. Or maybe the South Peace High School.
I guess this year, like, we had initially thought like Central would work. They, like, their booking person changed, and I didn't coordinate or come back to it, and they had like filled out the booking, and so just wanted to make some decisions quickly. And it was easy for me to connect the dots with the Gulf Frank Ross, and get that space. Looking at and in that sense, like, I know the space, I know it'll accommodate 2 full-size fight areas, which we need for the tournament, and so we went with that. But again, I think exploring what other venues are available in the community will be something that we will look at, because we have a concession that we run. We like to be able to have like good space for lunch and awards to happen, and Central worked really well for us, and we think Frank Ross will also be okay for it, but like looking into like what some different options might be in the future will be important.
Right. Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Apollonio. I don't know if you were aware, and I don't know if this would work, but just to put it out there, we council or the city did approve the Kin Arena getting an indoor sports flooring installed, which will probably be this summer sometime, and it's going to be in there for a year testing. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. And the plan is to test that for a year, and then we'll review it at the end and see where that goes, and whether that becomes more of a semi-permanent place, or we'll know more after the year. But
Yeah, I mean, I look forward to seeing that, and like exploring it and see like what that would look like for us, for sure.
Yeah. Perfect. Any other questions? No, I just had one. So the swim passes, I know we gave them last year, and you said they worked good. Is that, like, as far as something from the city, like, do you see that's the most value to the youth that are coming in here, or do you see like there being something that would be more of a appreciative of the members and the athletes coming up? Or
I think, like, and maybe Dax can speak to it as an athlete too, but I think like me as like a participant, a parent, like, I know that like that pool option, like when we travel, is always like something that we do in other communities. Like it's an easy one that the kids really enjoy.
Okay.
And so just in like my past experience, I would say that it's kind of that thing that they'll do. And I, like, correct me if I'm wrong, I think like the Prince George bus stopped at the pool like after the competition on Saturday and spent some time there, so they brought all their people there, kind of thing as well. So I'd be interested to think about like other possibilities, but I know that's something in our experience as we travel to communities that like we're connecting at the pool afterward. It's team building. The kids love to swim, and the older athletes like to use the hot tub and all of that kind of thing as well, to relax after a fight day.
Yeah. If I could add, it also like promotes cleanliness, because after their competition they have to go home right away, and many of them won't have an opportunity to have showers or get clean before they have to sit on a bus for 4 hours, which from personal experience is not it's not fun.
So it's the perfect thing to put in the package.
Going to the pool allows them to clean themselves up, have some fun, connect with their team, and then have a non-nose plug ride home.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, sounds like it's the right thing then. So, well, thank you both for coming in, and I think you might remember how this works, but later on, just in the agenda today, we'll deal with the ask, and then we'll let you know how it goes.
Can I
from there.
ask a question as well? Like,
oh yeah, absolutely.
I know like the use was noted with me that it was like 29 or 30 passes last year, and I didn't know like how that would be tracked, or how we would track that. Like, because I would be curious about like, if we're giving this, are we more selective about it? Does it make a difference in terms of like having like that year timeline? Should it be focused on the weekend that they're here? And like all of those options, I think, are like great for us. Like, we don't really need a year-long swim pass for people. We're really trying to, like, that example Dax gave was great. Like, for that weekend, here you go, use the swim pass. But
Yeah.
I mean, for our local kids and families, it's certainly like to have a swim pass and go use it. That's a great benefit. But just in terms of like what council would want to support, like we've been to all options.
Okay. Councillor Earl wanted to comment on that, so let him.
I guess just to speak to your concern, because I think I was the one who asked staff about tracking utilization. And for us, it's just so we can allocate a cost to it in a budget. So we have an annual grant budget we set. So if we're giving out 100 passes and we assign a certain dollar value to those passes, that comes out of the grant budget. Whereas to track that, okay, 30 or 40 of them were actually used, that can apply to the grant budget. So we're not artificially reducing a grant budget and then other organizations aren't benefiting from it. Realistically, I mean, obviously you'd like to see 100% utilization if you're going to the trouble of giving it out, but for our purposes, it's more just so we can track that within our budget and make sure we know what else we can support. Yeah. So.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Earl.
Thank you.
Yeah, and 30% is actually, if that was the number, is actually a pretty good return. Like, I know with a different hat I wear, like if, you get, donations or you put out, if you get 10% back, you're satisfied with that. So, like Councillor Earl said, 100% would obviously be ideal, but 30%, that's still a pretty good use and return. So, and I don't know if there was any like conversation here about like, putting tighter deadlines or time restrictions on it. I think if it's a year, like, yeah.
I was just floating that just in terms of my curiosity.
Yeah.
And like, I felt like it probably did have to do with like that, like cost associated with it. Like, I think from our end, like we wanna, promote that to people. Please use these.
Yeah. Yeah, and even for the local kids, if they don't get a chance to that weekend and they come the next weekend, like it's, still a bonus, so.
The other thing I'd just maybe leave you with is if there's like city promotional banners that we could throw up at our tournament that you would want to have there, like as, a partner that we have, we're also happy to have that up and on display kind of thing. Right?
Okay, perfect. That is great. Perfect. Well, thank you very much for coming in. And I don't know, like, would you guys be open to get a picture with council?
Sure, of course.
Yeah, okay.
Went a little time, but.
I'm not saying you should flip Charlie, but now's your chance to flip Charlie.
Just one arm bar. One arm bar.
Just humble him a little bit.
Thanks, guys. Nice meeting you. Thanks, Norman. So your parents are? Oh, okay. Yes.
My grandma's Neon.
Yeah, oh, okay. Awesome. Thanks, Dan.
Good luck, sir. Best luck, Jim.
Keep us posted on
Results?
Yeah,
definitely.
I forgot to mention too, great to hear that 20 medals from here.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it was for in our U10 to 12 or U8 to U12 divisions, we had 10 athletes and came back with the second most medals in the competition. So
Wow. Do they go to nationals?
No, they don't.
U16. U16. Okay.
Got three,
Little man
I
key.
think, 4 maybe this year.
I always see
That's
pictures tonight.
exciting.
Yeah,
Seen it,
yes, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Well, how far will that grow too, right? You get young,
That's, we got 4 and 5-year-olds now, which is new this year. Yeah, really cool.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming. Thank you. All right, our next order of business is 2025 strategic priority chart. No updates this one. Any questions on either side? Kevin or over here? Councillor Parslow?
Yeah, just refresh my memory. There's one item in the strategic plan. I don't have it up here right now, but it's around presentation through NCLGA to UBCM concerning funding of small cities. Do you recall that one? I can quickly find it if that's...
Through your worship,
Yes, it's in the first section here. You have a little... Okay. There's a couple of them that, like marketing... This is a different one, but marketing our airport as a regional airport. So that's sort of scheduled for 2026, right? This one I'm looking for... Oh, yeah.
Councillor Parslow, is that the one right there that they got highlighted, number 8?
8, yes,
Yeah.
that's the one. So that's at the sort of the very last quarter of 2026. So it worked with NCLG around alternative funding models for small cities. So I'm just questioning that remind me what that's all about, but secondly, it seems to me that the intent is to collaborate with our NCLGA colleagues. And shouldn't that work begin earlier than that? I mean, it's just Q4 2026. Are you with me, Kevin?
yeah, no, through your worship, I think I'm in the same spot as you are, as I need to refresh on that as well. So if you don't mind,
No,
if I can get
that's
that
fair
from you.
enough. I mean, I was just reviewing it. I mean, I would have taught you before if I had
no
dawned on
problem.
me. But some of us are going to NCLGA, and it's a good opportunity. So I think we, as Councillor MacDonald often says, and I agree with him, much of the benefit of these conferences is the networking and talking. And that one, I'd like to know what the background was again, just to refresh my memory, and see if it was not too late to begin to have some dialogue at NCLGA about that, or through our representatives on the executive of NCLGA.
So through your worship, I was reminded down the table here that is under the transit heading.
Sorry?
And it was under transit, and so it's advocating for a different funding model for small cities regarding transit.
I see. Okay. Well, it's still an interesting...
Yeah. So the timing of it certainly could be adjusted if council wants. But being that it's an NCLGA and a UBCM, it's really something that council would need to take forward to those. But we can certainly discuss that if it's of interest.
Yeah.
Might be something to note too. I think we're too late for NCLGA resolutions now, but might be something to note for...
Get in as a late resolution.
Yeah.
They would still accept it, right?
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Councillor Parslow. Did you have anything else?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's all right. Any other questions? No. All right. Next, 4 late items. We have 4.1 letter from Ashley Pannozzo, Community Engagement and Communications Liaison, Dawson Creek and District Hospital, received on March 26, 2025, regarding an invitation to join Dawson Creek and District Hospital Art Committee. I just need a motion to accept as a late item. Councillor Earl, second. Councillor MacDonald. I'll call that to vote. Vote is closed. It's carried. All right, next 5, new councillor business. Any new councillor business?
There's no action.
Under new councillor business, it will be. Councillor MacDonald?
Thank you, Worship. I just wanted to let council and staff know that I've officially submitted my my application nomination to run for second vice president of NCLGA this year, and that I hope to receive their support and everybody else's in the region as well.
Excellent. Congratulations and
Thank you.
good job. Councillor Earl.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just wanted to report back to council and staff with respect to the School District 59 Strategic Priorities meeting. Myself, Councillors Kemp and Parslow attended last week. I don't know if Charlie made it, but I had to duck out a few minutes early, but it was a good meeting, similar to last year. But I just wanted to commend the folks at School District 59 for getting a lot of different stakeholders in a tent together to talk and hash out ideas and, raise awareness. Certainly there were some nice signs of progress with respect to some of the goals laid out last year with respect to student attendance, which is in a much better position, but it's always it's good to refresh us and remind us that, although it's not necessarily our jurisdiction, we are stakeholders in the educational success of children in this community, and that success has knock-along impacts for a lot of the other things we do. So it's, if for no other reason, very valuable meeting, and I appreciate the invite.
Awesome. Thank you for attending. How was their attendance? Was it
It looked like all their tables were full. So they
similar
got
to last year?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a full house.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. Thank you. Any other new councillor business? No? All right, we can now deal with that letter from Ashley Pannozzo from Northern Health, if somebody would want to. Councillor Earl?
Thank you, Worship. I move that council appoint Councillor Charlie Parslow as the delegate for the hospital, if they want a council delegate.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Earl.
Surprise.
Second, Councillor McDonald. Councillor Parslow, do you accept that?
What is it for? I missed it.
It's for the late item for
Oh, yes,
Dawson Creek and
the hospital.
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure, I'm
Okay.
an art collector.
Trying to do something nice that you enjoy, Part.
I thank you, it's so thoughtful of you.
Yeah. You guys are so kind. You're making my day. Thank you. And that was the request was for one, or was it
This is primary and alternate.
primary and alternate? So is there anybody that would, I guess, does it need to be,
That's it as an alternate.
yeah, okay.
Friendly
So
amendment.
it's a friendly amendment to the motion to add Councillor McDonald as the alternate. All right, I will call that motion to vote. Vote is closed, and it's carried. All right, next 6, adoption of minutes. 6.1, minutes of the regular meeting of council held on March 24th, 2025 for adoption. Councillor Sudnick, second Councillor Kemp. I'll call that to vote. Vote is closed, and it's carried. Any business arising? No. Next order of business correspondence, 8.1, we have a letter from Fern Hansen, President, Dawson Creek and District Hospital Auxiliary, received on March 15th, 2025, regarding a request for donation to purchase a Tovertafel for Rotary Manor. Councillor Parslow. Sorry, Councillor Parslow.
So just would like to have some discussion about this. Can I move that we receive this and have a discussion?
Well, we could probably just have some discussion first
Okay,
and then come up with a
okay.
motion. Yeah.
So I was just looking at staff here. I mean, obviously dementia is something that ravages people's lives, and it's a very serious thing. And I appreciate very much the initiative of this group. What has been our past practice around supporting the Dawson Creek Hospital Auxiliary here? Have we had any previous engagement with them? Do you know?
So through your worship, I am not familiar with any. I don't recall any in recent history.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause I know they've-
The reason I'm asking is, I just don't know how we deal with these sort of things. We do support a number of initiatives, but the acquisition of equipment for the medical system is, I think, a new one for me. Obviously, if I was to, if we were to start doing this, when would we say no and when would we say yes? And so I'm thinking, should we have some policy perhaps around supporting the acquisition of capital items for the medical system? Because I don't know how else to logically, my heart would say, yeah, give them the whole 19,000, but that's not, where would it stop,
Yeah.
So I'm struggling with this, right? My heart says one thing, but as we've all got, there's different. We mentioned the school district, they have their mandate. Yes, we're very interested in what the school district does. We're very interested in what the auxiliary does, right? But what do we fund and what do we not fund? That's the question I would like to hear from my colleagues, if they've got any thoughts on that.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Councillor Parslow. Councillor Earl?
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the same boat as usually. Even back in a couple lifetimes ago when I worked at the hospital foundation, right? There are certain, because you're healthcare, there are certain streams of funding and grants like lottery fund you're not eligible for because of the amount of money healthcare gets through other means. So, and I know I've articulated as we've kind of waded into the healthcare stream with respect to some of the support things we're doing to support the Health Services Society, doctor recruitment, locum housing, stuff like that is, where do you draw a line? I think as wonderful as an initiative this is, I tend to agree with the sentiment expressed by Councillor Parslow that this isn't our this really isn't our jurisdiction to be playing in, and I don't know, once again, if you say yes to this, and how do you be logically consistent and principled with other asks of a similar nature? So it's tough because, there are things we do as a city to support people who are struggling with disabilities and other health maladies, but they're not necessarily equipment dedicated inside a health facility. So, Councillor Parslow raised a very good question. My inclination would be to, politely decline, but I'll wait to hear from my fellow councillors.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Go ahead, Councillor Tall.
Yeah, thank you, Worship. I just wanted to voice my agreement with the councillors who have spoken before me. I think it starts us down a path where there's many unknowns, and I agree, it's not our lane, it's not our jurisdiction. I would rather us be looked upon if they had an aggressive fundraising campaign and came up just shy by $750, and then we were there to cover that last $750, right? Instead of being the first donator. That's where I would be more comfortable getting into donating for something like this.
Thanks, Councillor McDonald. Discussion. I kind of had a bit of my thoughts. I appreciate everything that's been said. A couple things. I get where do you draw the line, but we have a grant budget. That's where we draw the line. Our grant budget's $13,000. Once it's used up, we don't have an option to give any more to have policy around different things. That's kind of the way I look at it in myself. The other is Yeah, I don't know, like, there's a lot of things that come to us, whether it's donations for silent auction or community fundraising events that would maybe fall, in similar classes to this. I also look at these ladies that donate their time to the hospital auxiliary, and this is a seniors thing. I think seniors and youth, to me, are the two most important things in our community. I think seniors have given us what we have today, and I respect what they've done and the road they've walked to get us here. So, with that and knowing that we have a grant budget that is meant to come to council for us to make these decisions, I respect all three of your comments, but I also think that I wouldn't be opposed to donating something to help this. And I don't think it's starting it off. I think I've heard from other business industry in the community that they've been out there. They're trying hard to push forward with this, and this is something that would be huge. Being up through Rotary Manor and seeing these individuals that get to this point in their life and living, to be able to be in a position to assist them to get this, I actually believe I'm in favor of it. So. And at the end of the day, I understand everything that was said. There's a $13,000 grant budget. So I look at that from this chair. Once that's used up, we can't, give any more because that's all we have that we've allocated in our budget. So, but yeah, that's my thoughts on it anyways. I don't know does anybody else have any thoughts? Councillor Apollonio?
As I said, I understand what the councillors and, of course, Mayor Darcy-Dober spoke. Maybe we could help in their fundraising, like the city stuff, like, for example, promote, in case they will have a fundraising, the city could help, for example, or maybe promote their fundraising, so at least it could generate a lot of funds for them. So just fundraising.
Yeah, like if they're doing a fundraising event. Yeah.
Like just to help, or city staff would help, for example, like promoting, like for example with Melissa, something like that. So at least it will be, a lot of people will be coming in, and I think it's better community will be coming together just to help them rather than just one single entity like the city of Dawson Creek.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I don't think, like, when this goes out to the community, I'm assuming they're going to get support, but yeah. All right, anybody want to make a motion? I'll make one to get it on the floor. So I'm going to move a motion that we donate $500 to the hospital auxiliary towards the purchase of the Tovertafel for the Rotary Manor to come out of the grant budget. Do I have a second? Councillor Sudnick. Discussion, Councillor Earl.
Thank you, Worship. 3 to staff. Where do we stand with the grant budget?
So, through your worship, before this is considered, we have 5,950 remaining.
50 remaining, okay. And
Any other discussion? No? All right, I will call this motion to vote. Oh, sorry, did you have something?
And so just should council approve the Judo request, that would also come off of that as well.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? All right, I'll call this motion. Motion is closed. It's carried. 3 opposed. Councillor Parslow, Councillor McDonald, and Councillor Earl. All right, next order of business, 8.2, we have a letter from Meagan Longley, Secretary, Dawson Creek Pride Society, received on March 18th, 2025, regarding a request to raise pride flag on May 30th, 2025. Councillor Earl?
thank you, Your Worship, and I'm fine to move this for approval. Just a question, did we not, or maybe it's not finalized yet, we revised the city's flag raising policy last year, so all of these requests don't come to us, is that correct?
Yeah, but we'll have to waive the flag policy because of the request in here. Yeah, so I think is there a motion that is, oh, go ahead. Janice.
Through your worship, the flag policy was amended last year. However, the MS flag is scheduled 2025 flag policy to fly for the entire month of May, and the Pride Committee is asking that their flag be raised on the 30th of May. So if council chooses, the flag policy will need to be waived to allow that.
For the day earlier. Yeah.
Okay, then I would move in accordance with what Janice just suggested, that we allow the pride flag to be, okay. Move that the letter from Dawson Creek Pride Society regarding request to raise pride flag be received. Further, that council waive the flag policy and authorize the raising of the pride flag on May 30th, 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Earl and Janice. Second, Councillor McDonald. Discussion, Councillor Kemp.
Thank you, Your Worship. It also mentions here in the letter about the flag on June 12th as well for the Filipinos, because they're requesting the flag to be for the whole month of June.
Councillor Apollonia.
Okay, regarding the Philippine flag raising, just only on June 2nd. So June 2nd for the council meeting.
Yeah.
So at least you will be in attendance, and yeah, just flag raising, and after that it can be lowered down during the same day. So it will not be a whole day. So to give others a chance to to celebrate.
So we don't need to have anything in there then. Okay. Thanks, Janice. Thank you, Councillor Kemp. And Councillor Apollonia, thank you. Any other discussion? No, I'll call this motion to vote. Vote is closed. It's carried. 8.3, letter from Anna Comier, organizer, or Comer, sorry. I don't know where that accent came from, but Anna Comer, organizer, Hearts and Hammer, Blacksmith Showdown, received on March 14th, 2025, regarding a request for sponsorship of Hearts and Hammers Blacksmith Showdown. Councillor Parslow.
Well, Jane, I have some questions about this. So this is part of the Fall Fair. And this seems a little different. What I'm struggling with is a lot of fundraisers happen at the Fall Fair. For instance, many churches man booths selling food, and it's a big fundraiser for many groups. They do this. We don't sponsor them. So now we have something that seems very interesting being organized, and this has been organized under the heading of the Dawson Creek Exhibition Society, and a society that we support to the tune of about $750,000 a year, 125,000, or is it more than that? Pardon? 150,000. So is this a part of their stuff? I think we sponsor that event enough. Is this part of their scene? I don't know. They talk about a sponsorship level. There's one level, as I understand it from the presentation, $3,500. There's no other levels. And the prize is $2,000 donation to the charity of the winner's choice. Are those charities local charities, or are they charities outside of our community, in somewhere in the world? So I have a couple of questions, which I find it unusual that we're getting involved with a fund, an activity that's we're already supporting. Okay, it's just like double dipping to me.
Thank you, Councillor Parzo. I can answer a few of those questions. I met with Anna, and she kind of went through this. So Anna is not part of the Dawson Creek Exhibition Association. She offers an event. Well, she's contributes and is involved in the events while that are down there, but she's not part of the Exhibition Association. This is something new that she's trying to do, and put forward. So they've done it in Calgary at the Stampede, and it was extremely successful. So she's trying to do it here. She's trying to bring a lot of awareness to it. She wants to, the goal is to get some dignitaries that would sponsor that $3,500, and there would be 4 or 5, you know, whether it's the MLA, myself, somebody from council, you know, that would participate in the event. In order to do that, that sponsorship level is $3,500. The second sheet on here that has all the different levels of sponsorship, so you can sponsor, this has got the Dawson Creek Exhibition heading on it, but she said she can accept sponsors of any level in here. They just have to be, when the sponsorship is made, it has to be noted that it's for this event, and then the Exhibition Association gives her the funds for the event. So you can give at any level on here. I did, you know, there's a lot of, you know, she's very passionate about this and very excited, and, you know, definitely would be a win for the community for this to take off. I did mention, you know, we have a grant budget, and it's, you know, this would be a strong, like a heavy portion of that, which would be tough for us, but it's, you know, that's basically summed up of what my meeting with her was. So her plan for this is to enhance and add to the event, to the fall fair. Yeah, and she got a lot of great ideas. She showed me the video of the one that was done in Calgary, and they had some, you know, they had the mayor there, and I think a few other dignitaries and some Calgary Stampeders, like from the football team, were there, and it was extremely successful. And that's kind of what she's trying to duplicate here. So the goal is if you want to participate in it as one of the participants, it's $3,500, which then, so to answer the other part of your question, $2,000 of that would be donated to a local charity. So Anna is also a local resident, and but yeah, so that was kind of the gist of what she did. It look, you know, unique, and definitely probably something that would be, you could see growing into more, but that's, yeah, that's what she shared with me. Anybody like to? I could make a motion. I'll just make a motion just due to the level of the sponsorship that we decline being able to support it. Second, Councillor McDonald. Any discussion? No? All right, I'll call that motion to vote. Vote is closed. It's carried. Next, we have 8.4. We have letter from Simon Yu, Mayor, City of Prince George, received on March 17th, 2025, regarding a request for support of proposed NCLGA resolutions. 1, 2025 NCLGA resolution conservation officer advocacy. 2, 2025 NCLGA resolution regional secure psychiatric care facility. And 3, 2025 NCLGA resolution, provincial funding for public libraries. Councillor Parslow.
I move that we support the City of Prince George, the 3 resolutions as presented.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Parslow. I have a second. Councillor McDonald, discussion. Councillor Parslow, did you have?
Well, I know the conservation services are grossly understaffed. I can't comment about the library, but that has obviously been previously supported, so there must have been some discussion about that. The psychiatric care is a no-brainer for me, that we need a lot more of those services everywhere. Yeah. It would be very handy to have one in Prince George.
Okay. Thanks, Councillor Parslow. Councillor Earl?
Thank you, Worship. I'm mostly in agreement with Councillor Parslow. And with respect to the library funding, it's been static from the province for, I think, over a decade now. So that's one of those ways in which previously there was a funding partnership, and more of that cost is incrementally being downloaded onto municipalities, and if municipalities can't foot that bill, then the community's library services suffer. So I think it's high time the province caught up on their investment in that. I guess the one piece I'm curious or concerned about, just psychiatric care facility in Prince George. Certainly we need more facilities. My, I guess, only concern is we're advocating for finite healthcare dollars within the Northern Health region to be allocated to another community that is technically within Northern Health, but realistically 4 hours away. And we ourselves have a psychiatric care unit here in Dawson Creek and are the hub for the region. So I don't want to, as much as, you know, I don't want to see other communities not succeed. It's all coming out of the same bucket of money, and I don't necessarily want to be advocating for, you know, Prince George historically hasn't had a hard time getting resources out of Northern Health compared to other communities like ours. So, sorry to throw a wrench in, but that's my only bone of contention.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Earl. Other discussion? No? All right. I will call this motion to vote. Vote is closed. It's carried. Next, 8.5, we have a letter from Alex Reschny, President, South Peace Mile Zero Park Society, received on March 20th, 2025, regarding a request for 2 nominations to Board of Directors. So I guess, Janice, I know that you had some conversations with Mr. Reschny around this, so just some clarification, because I think I've heard that there's been some different different understandings of this letter. So is it, you know, for 2 nominations, not meaning from council? The other thing is it does say that the city did nominate previously Brianna Casey, who is stepping down, but we also have nominated Christy Rose, who is willing to continue. So from what I understand from this, we have Christy Rose, who's willing to be one of them, and we need 1 more. Is that correct? Or 2 new ones?
3, Your Worship. They're looking for 2 nominations to fill directors' places. Christy Rose is the secretary.
But still
They're looking for two new nominations.
above Christy.
Above Christy, yes.
Okay, and then it's not in like our policies or bylaw, like to have directors on there. This is just a request that they're asking, so it doesn't need to be council. It could be a new. Okay.
I understand Councillor Parslow is the city liaison.
Yeah, city liaison. Yeah.
Yes.
But this is for directors, not liaison.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So I don't know if anybody had any time to.
Charlie said he has something to say.
He hasn't pushed his button yet. But Councillor Parslow.
What did you just say to John?
Well, you shut your mic off.
I did shut it off.
Councillor Parslow.
Yes, just for clarification, I'm a little confused here. Christy Rose was a city nominee.
Yeah.
She is continuing. We only are entitled to nominate 2 people. So Christy is one of them. That's my understanding. And then the second person can't be anybody on council. It is a member of the public that we wish to nominate. And we should have obviously had prior conversations with those individuals.
Yeah.
So over to you, Janice, sorry.
Through your worship, that Councillor Parslow could be correct. My understanding from speaking with Mr. Reschny was they were looking for 2 bodies to fill directors' positions.
Okay. So did anybody have any time to conversate with anybody at their meetings tonight? So I guess what would be the direction then? Obviously Christy Rose, would be one of, that we would nominate, and then we would be open to other names that, or we just nominate one.
Your Worship, I can just reply to Mr. Reschny that council is nominating Christy Rose again.
Okay.
And
Do you need a motion for that, or?
yes, please.
Yeah, okay. Somebody like to make that motion? Councillor Earl? Seconded by Councillor Apollonio. So the motion is, for those that are listening, is just that City of Dawson Creek would recommend that Christy Rose be a director on the South Peace Mile Zero Park Society. Okay. Discussion, Councillor Earl?
Thank you, Your Worship. So I know we did receive the notice from staff last week that they were looking for this. However, this is a difficult thing for any individual council member to strike out on and do on their own without going out and recruiting people for a nonprofit board without conferring with the rest of council first is difficult. And that's on, I guess, us for not being more proactive. But I'm wondering, this is just kind of another one of those idiosyncrasies that are depending upon the organization, depending upon the lease agreement, depending upon their policies that we end up doing or being expected to do. And I'm just, as we do this, what is, do we need to add this into a schedule on our end if it's something that's going to be expected of us? Do we add this to the portfolio of a liaison's role, is to be the active recruiter for whatever respective board they're on that's seeking, whether it's Greg on the library board to go out and, as if we're asked to provide nominees for the library per se, or Exhibition Association, what have you. Just wondering if moving forward we need to put some structure to this so we don't, or is this something we want to be in the business of doing in general? I mean, I know we have to approve the library board, but we don't necessarily go out and seek nominees for it.
Janice, did you want to add?
Just for further clarification, Your Worship, the Mile Zero Park Society has it written into their bylaw and constitution that the city will provide 2 nominees, as well as a number of other organizations. That's how it came about.
Yeah.
So is the library, do they have that in their constitution as well, or that's just part of
Not
the?
to my knowledge.
We have to approve their nominees, though.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a little different with every organization. So I guess follow-up question then, based on what Janice said, is if we only provide one nominee, are we putting them in contravention of their own bylaws?
I mean, we can source out another one. It's just that tonight is you're right, is April 8th, which I don't think we could, yeah.
So, Jenna, and depending on how their bylaws are written, they may have some sort of method in there for the board can vote to approve a nominee after an AGM once provided. And we maybe want to communicate with them so that we can take a beat to go and brainstorm amongst ourselves about who might be a good person in addition to that. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be difficult. I'm just,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I didn't read it too far into their constitution to know if that's a provision.
Mm-hmm.
But
It's their
I
constitution.
I can relay that.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Thanks, Councillor Earl. Councillor Parslow?
Well, my colleague, what he just said is pretty accurate. And so I think this would be perfectly acceptable if we nominate Christy Rose and invite the executive of the Mile Zero Park Society to select another person
Okay.
in lieu of our second choice. What Jeremy said is what happens with a lot of boards. If they don't have a full slate, the executive have the authority to add to the required number. So we're just saying, here's one, Tristy. She's great. She does a great job. And we invite the board to appoint somebody on behalf of the city.
Thank you, thanks, good, well put. Can we make a friendly amendment to that? Okay. All right, so we'll just add that in there, that we'll nominate one and allow the executive of the Mile Zero Park Society to pick another one on behalf of us.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Parslow.
And Councillor, thank you.
All right, any other discussion? No, everybody is clear on what we're voting on? All right, I will call this motion to vote. Vote is closed. It's carried.
Staff should communicate the decision today,
Yeah.
which is the meeting tonight, yeah.
Yeah, it's April 8th. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Next, 8.6, we have a letter from Ross Harcourt, committee member, South Peace Oilmen's Association, received on March 26, 2025, regarding a request for donation for Lobsterfest. Do we know what we did last year?
Through your worship, the last few years, we've given 2 rec passes, $100 each.
2 $100 rec passes. Okay. Councillor McDonald?
Oh, thank you, Worship. I'd like to move that we once again donate 2 $100 rec passes as we have done in previous years.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Second, Councillor Kemp, discussion. All right, I'll call this motion to vote. Good. Vote is closed, and it's carried. All right, I'm just gonna take a break. Those that are watching, we're just going into an in-camera at 10:30, so we'll probably be back on after 11 sometime, so, yeah. Oh, yes, we do need a motion to go into camera. Thank you, Councillor Earl. And a recess to, we're going to vary the agenda and go to number 16, recess to close meeting. 16.1, resolution to move into the meeting of council closed to the public. Do I need to read all of them or which one? Sorry, just 2.1.
Your worship, just 2.1 for now.
Agenda item 2.1, section 91J, information that is prohibited or information that if it were presented in a document would be prohibited from disclosure under section 21 of the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. Councillor Kemp, second Councillor Apollonio, call that to vote.
Can we just do a show by hands, your worship?
All in favor? By hands, please. It's carried. Council meeting for Tuesday, April 8th, 2025, back to order. Next order of business was 9 reports. We got 9.1, report number 25-034 from the Development Service Manager regarding Development Variance Permit 25-01, Phase 6, Crescentview North Subdivision. Councillor Parslow.
I move the report number 25-034 from the Development Services Manager, redevelopment variance permit 25-01, Phase 6, Crescentview North Subdivision be received. Further development variance permit 25-01 be approved.
Thank you, Councillor Parslow. Second, Councillor Sudnick. Any discussion?
Well, yes, this has been a long process of development, so it's good to see that it's moving forward. Quite a good analysis has been given about some of the safeguards, environmental safeguards, and some of the things that will happen prior to us taking over the infrastructure. So I think staff's done a very thorough job weighing up the pros and cons and making sure that the interest of the taxpayers there, and as well as moving the community forward in this development. So I think it's a win-win.
Thank you, Councillor Parslow.
You're welcome.
Any other discussion? No. All right, I'd like to call this motion. Is that all right?
Yeah, I just shut myself off in the bloody meeting. Yeah.
Yeah. It's closed. It's carried. Sorry, just 1 second. Janice, could you get IT to come up? My computer's not working.
Do you need to forward?
No, I'll be fine. Yeah. Next order of business is 9.2. We have report number 25-043 from the General Manager of Development Services regarding review of green policies. Councillor McDonald?
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to move that report number 25-043 from the General Manager of Development Services regarding review of green policies be received. Further, that the green operating practices policy for municipal buildings and the green vehicle policy be repealed.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Second, Councillor Sudnick. Discussion. I'll call this motion to vote. Vote is closed. It's carried. Next, we have 9.3, report number 25-052 from the airport manager regarding purchase of mobile fuel cart for Dawson Creek Regional Airport. Councillor Earl.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'll move the recommendation that report number 25-052 from the airport manager regarding purchase of mobile fuel cart for Dawson Creek Regional Airport be received. Further, that council approves the purchase of the 2021 Eagle Industries X980 mobile fuel cart for up to $29,995 plus applicable taxes and delivery costs. Further, that the purchase be funded from the self-serving fuel terminal and stabilization of fuel tanks project surplus.
Thank you, Councillor Earl. Second, Councillor McDonald. Discussion.
Just kudos to staff for securing the funding. That enables a surplus and allows us to further invest in something that will hopefully make our airport more competitive and dynamic.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's great. It was great to see this. So good job to the team there, to you, Kevin, and the team. We heard that this was, an avenue that was needed out there to help with mostly helicopters and stuff. So yeah, just great to see. And do you know offhand what's the cost on a new? I don't know if it was in here. If I might have missed it. What, 20,000 more was it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, through your worship, approximately $58,000 for a new one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's good.
Yeah, no kudos to Stacy and Kim for sourcing it out and finding one that is used, but basically brand new.
Yeah, exactly. And just to enhance the airport that much more. So
Yeah,
good job.
absolutely.
All right, any other discussion? I'll call that motion to vote. Vote is closed. It's carried. Next order of business, 9.4, report number 25-055 from the General Manager of Development Services regarding transit on Federal Election Day, Monday, April 28th, 2025. Councillor Apollonio.
Thank you, Your Worship. I recommend that report number 25-055 from the General Manager of Development Services regarding transit on Federal Election Day, Monday, April 28, 2025, be received. Further, that Council approves that public transit fees be waived on the Federal Election Day, Monday, April 28, 2025.
Thank you, Councillor Apollonio. Second, Councillor McDonald. Any discussion? All right, I'll call that motion to vote. Vote is closed. It's carried. Next, we have 9.5, report number 25-056 from the General Manager of Development Services regarding capital project Dawson Trail 17th Street Connector. Councillor Parslow.
Move the report number 25-056 from the General Manager of Development Services recapital project Dawson Trail 17th Street Connector be received. Further, the Council approve the Dawson Trail 17th Street Connector project at the total estimated budget of $1,070,000, with the city's portion of the cost sharing to be funded through the remaining Growing Communities Fund and up to $162,000 from general capital reserves. Further, that council direct staff to proceed with the construction of the Dawson Trail 17th Street Connector project before learning of the outcome of the Federal Housing Infrastructure and Communities Canada Active Transportation Fund to ensure that construction can be completed before the BC Active Transportation Grant deadline of March the 31st, 2026.
Thank you, Councillor Parslow. Second, Councillor Sudnick. Discussion?
Well, just speaking to this motion, there's a few comments I want to make. First of all, we did get a grant, and that grant, I was told by staff, has to be, you have to expense that grant by March 31st, 2026, which just leaves this time of the year up to the fall of 2025 to do this work. So we have to, if we're going to avail of that grant that we have received, do this work pretty well immediately. The other part of this is that we need to cover this on the hope that we might get another grant. But with this sort of interregnum period with the federal election, grants are usually not, they don't do any of that until after the election. So I'm thinking we're taking a bit of a risk here, but I think it's a good one because, as you know, our trail system is in sorely need of improvement. And this also avails taking traffic away from 17th Street, which is a good move. Staff is recommending we use up to $162,000 from the general capital reserves, but if I'm understanding this project perfectly, that would be replaced if we do get the second grant, correct? Is that correct, staff?
So through your worship, I would say yes. The only kicker with the second grant is anything we expend prior won't be eligible. So it depends on if and when and timing of that second grant. So if we get that second grant and we still have monies in the project remaining to complete, then yes, we would be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And so at any rate, that's all I have to say on it.
Thank you, Councillor Parslow. Councillor Earl?
Yeah, Councillor Parslow covered off. I just wanted to provide some context to anybody who might be watching because this might seem like a convoluted way to go about this, but it's just a matter of we don't fall in the Goldilocks zone for that timing between the two grants, and we have to either move ahead with uncertainty or potentially not at all because we can't spend the allotted grant before the time. You know, just one of those things where the province and the feds and municipalities aren't always working in perfect concert with one another, but decisions have to be made anyway. So, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Any other discussion? No? I'll call this motion to vote. Vote is closed and it's carried. Next, we have 9.6. Report number 25-057 from the General Manager of Community Services regarding Ovintiv Event Center bowl lighting. Councillor Parslow.
Okay, I'm going to vary the recommendation here. Recommendation reads that report number 25-057 from the General Manager of Community Service Ovintiv Event Center bowl lighting be received. Further, that council direct staff to use $390,000 from the capital reserve to fund the shortfall for the Ovintiv Event Center bowl lighting capital project.
Thank you, Councillor Parslow. Do I have a second? Councillor MacDonald.
If I can speak to this.
Yeah, please.
Okay, well, in the item just before this, staff recommended using the capital reserve to cover that. And this one, they correctly state it's not good practice to use your capital reserve too much because you want to build it up for our capital asset management plan. However, I've been on council now for I don't know how many years, and we've talked around solarizing so much of what we over those years that I hate to see us lose that project, which does a lot also for the aesthetic of our downtown, and so that's why I varied the recommendation.
Okay.
So that's always be defeated and go back to what's there.
Thanks, Councillor Parslow. Any other discussion? Councillor Earl?
Thank you, Your Worship. Just a comment, and it's noted in the report that the lighting, in addition to, being not best practice with respect to any kind of broadcast TV, that the auditor identified that it could potentially be a safety hazard because they weren't covered. Have we had any instances in the almost 20 years the facility's been open of that happening? Okay. So is it just a matter of industry practices, updated things that, I appreciate the input, but it citing something that's a safety hazard that hasn't been an issue for 20 years is always kind of like, yes, conceivably it's a safety hazard, but is it a solution to a problem we didn't have?
I'll let Ryan.
Thank you, through your worship, Councillor Earl. So it is we've been cited, for lack of better description, right? There is as part of Technical Safety BC's review, they went through the building, and as part of that, they've provided us a contravention that we need to rectify. And so that, it's sort of two aspects of this, right? The system is failing. There is money identified for that. It also, as part of the capital work and documentation provided to you, is through the budget process, right? The project was identified. It was also, as part of that, it was with the lens of the contravention that was provided to the city at the time. So this is the closing the loop of that, of now it's, for us to go and actually procure the lighting of it. So we haven't had any issues or instances or whatever, but the code says that it needs to be done.
Okay. And I guess just to the motion put forth by Councillor Parslow, if this money is taken out of reserves, we do have a vote on the financial plan bylaw coming up later in this meeting. Will that change that? I just wanted the knock-along impact for staff if we vote in favor to deviate from the recommendation, as Councillor Parslow suggested. What's that do for the other agenda item?
Go ahead, Melissa.
Through your worship to Councillor Earl, I would just track that in need of an amendment bylaw later in the year.
Okay. I wasn't opposed to the recommendation as written. My willingness to vote in favor of using reserves is more to do with the commitment we made around the cenotaph. I think our local veterans and that group or that demographic don't ask a lot, but it's also something that, I don't want to be seen shortchanging that priority, because I think it is, it's a group of people that don't necessarily do a lot of advocacy for themselves, but whose cause is something we should always be valuing as a community. So I wasn't necessarily opposed to it, but now that the recommendation has been amended, I'm fine with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Earl. Any other discussion? Maybe I have a few questions or comments. I guess originally, before this motion, just on the recommendation, I probably wouldn't have been in favor of removing the City Hall cenotaph design project. I felt like that was, something like you said, that they don't ask for a lot, but it's important for our veterans and our communities. So I wouldn't have been in favor of that portion. The 350 from the solar phase. I mean, I know we've been talking about it for a while, and I understand Councillor Parzlow's thought on, putting it off another year. I guess one question for me just now with this new recommendation is taking 350,000 from capital reserves, plus we've just, taken another 160 before, so you're talking $500,000. What interest are we going to be missing out annually on, I guess, just on removing the 350, because that's just what's on the floor right now. So can we say like it's ballpark 3%?
Through your worship, we'll just let Melissa do a quick calculation there and maybe come up with an estimate.
Well, she's doing that. I guess I'm assuming that it's been looked into, but I know the event center is 20 years old, so there's probably, with this, the need to upgrade to new lighting. But have we looked at, I know a lot of facilities and businesses that have similar things have plastic, coated lights or caged them. I know this is a bit different because how high it is, but did we look at that, and is,
So I think there's a couple of different things, right? So the functionality of the event center in terms of height, distance, the number of, I'm going to call it fixtures, right? And to get for the appropriate outputs and stuff. This isn't we just can't go back and fix what's there, right? So it was identified that over the years that the lighting system is aging out. And although they've I don't want to say put Band-Aids on it, replacing some bulbs and ballasts. The reality is that they do need to be done, and then with the contravention, they do need to be replaced. Putting cages or a sealable cover, we still would have to replace the lighting because the technology's 20 years, like the fixture's 20 years old, so we have to replace the fixture.
okay. So we didn't look into the other because the fixtures themselves are becoming to the point where their lives.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Councillor Parslow.
Well, I appreciate your comments about the lights and Councillor Earl's. I raised those same questions with staff, and I got my stance in supporting the staff recommendation in light of the discussions I had with staff, is I didn't see that we had much option not to do this. It was reviewed by the appropriate authorities, and we have been written up. And when staff says we've been written up about this, that means that we have to become compliant. And so whilst I understand, I said the same things pretty well to staff in preparation for this meeting. That's why I somewhat reluctantly said, yeah, we have to do this. That's what we've been told to do. It's just like, I'm over dramatizing it, but it's like, if there's a violation in the electrical code, you have to correct it, right? And this is the similar ilk. I don't wish to mislead my colleagues. Am I right in saying that? Yeah. Okay.
No, that was the same understanding I had in questions, and there's a liability that comes with this now that we know that it's there. My question was more is the liability is, and what we've been on notice for is that there's no protection over those. Yes. So it's like, have we looked at protection? That's why I just asked, and there's more to it than just that because the lighting. Yeah. Melissa?
Through your worship, so current investment offerings right now for a one-year term are averaging about 3.7%. I do expect those to continue to decrease. If we look at pulling the full 390,000, which would include the cenotaph and the solar, plus the 162 that was approved under the previous report, the interest on that total is just over $20,000. If we look at reducing that to keeping the cenotaph project and theoretically only pulling from reserves the 350 for the solar and the 162 as approved in the previous report, that interest is 19,000. So we're right around the 20,000 mark that theoretically we would have as a loss in interest revenue as we pull from reserves and decrease our cash balance, because theoretically we're going over budget.
So that 20,000, but that interest earned on capital reserve stays in the capital reserve function, so it wouldn't impact operational budget for next year?
Correct. Yeah, each month the interest is that we earn is allocated proportionally to the reserve balance within each fund. So as the fund balance decreases, the interest will be allocated more proportionally to other funds.
Okay, thank you. I guess the other part is if we were to go with the staff recommendation and putting that solar phase off, then it would have, just for clarification for everybody, it would have been put into the 2026 budget. Have we started the process on the solar phase for 2025? Okay, thank you. I'm kind of on the fence which way to vote on this. I don't know if there's any other discussion from anybody. Councillor Earl?
Okay, so obviously the lighting work is going to happen, it's interior work, so that isn't necessarily as, we're not concerned about the weather. With the lighting, just saying to take money out of reserves and then have the lighting project end up as a carryover for next year anyway would be, it wouldn't, I guess
solar
it's,
lighting.
yeah, the solar lighting piece end up as a carryover because it is exterior work and we're, I guess, a few weeks away from construction season potentially starting up. So are we confident that we have the capacity to get that bid out and if we do move ahead with the lighting? Not the event center lighting, the solar. Sorry, I should be more clear.
And I guess too, Ryan, just when you're answering that, can you just refresh myself and maybe others what the solar project was for this year too?
Sure. So as part of the, I'm going to say, process of identifying the, I'm going to say, projects in relation to the capital work that we're doing, we have not started the Cenotaph work or project or the solar side of it, as we have, I'm going to say, a myriad of other projects. Not that they're more important or less important, it's just working away the canopy, as an example, right? That construction season in terms of true construction of pouring cement in the ground and all that sort of stuff. So we're going through the project lists and working through it. We anticipate, or I believe that we would be looking at the solar project or projects would be something that we'd be looking at starting in June-ish in terms of that, starting that process. Cenotaph, we're probably looking at an August sort of time frame of starting that, I'm going to say that landscape design and all that sort of side of it. The Cenotaph project is not to actually build it, it's the planning piece of it. It's a nature of timing and to do all these other projects and et cetera, and both of these projects, when I looked at it, are not they're not an ongoing existing item or operationally impacts currently the operations, and so that's why, and also due to the timing of when they start, that's why they were identified. But also in the report, right, that these two projects, if the recommendation were to move forward as it was presented, would be put forward in the 2026 capital budget. So it's just deferring that time frame. The solar project or the solar facilities that were identified were the art gallery, the old fire hall at the airport, which is the maintenance, it's now the parks, I'm going to call it office. And then the third one was the water sales down by the exhibition grounds, north of the exhibition grounds, were the three projects.
You remember what the energy savings were on those 3 projects?
The total energy savings, what is that? Annual savings is 17-ish thousand dollars.
Oh, so it kind of washes the,
Yeah.
yeah, okay. Fair enough. And then I guess just to add to yours, the other part of your update on the Cenotaph being later this fall, but that is, you've met with the Cenotaph committee and that's kind of on their schedule and what's going to work for them?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So they came to, we've had a meeting, right? They sent the letter. I participated in one meeting. We've had some dialogue since. That group and/or the information to myself, we have not really had any conversation for 3-4 months at this time. We've reached out. We just haven't been able to connect.
Okay.
So that is, I don't want to say that has been in a holding pattern. The money's been allocated in terms of the project. It's the next step is to, work through that. What does it look like? Where does it go? Aspect. It's not just the actual what the Cenotaph would look like. It's a more of a holistic approach of what, how do you access it, around it, and engage with it.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thanks, Councillor Earl, for the question. All right, any other discussion? Okay. Oh, Councillor McDonald?
Thank you, Worship. Through you, I just have a curiosity question. Either of the lighting projects, whether it's the bowl or the solar, is that something the Growing Communities Fund could have paid for?
So through your worship, I think when we looked at that originally, I'm going to say yes, I believe so, because there was a number of infrastructure items that the Growing Communities Fund could pay for.
So it could have paid for either one of them, or both?
The solar one is the only one that I have to double check, because it seems to me that it wouldn't do solar. Yeah. But the lighting, the traditional lighting, perhaps, yeah.
Okay.
Is there any money
we'll
left in the
double-check.
Growing Communities Fund? How come you're going that way, Councillor McDonald?
It was just a curiosity question for me, more than anything. And that's a good follow-up. Is there more money left in the Growing Communities Fund that we can utilize for this?
Well, I think on our last recommendation was anything after the splash park would be allocated to trails.
Right.
So anything, and then on the previous motion, the remainder was left is going to that.
Yeah, that's correct, Your Worship. The previous report on the trails, there was 400-ish remaining, and because the motion was to use any remaining for trails, and so that's where we were allocating.
Okay. Councillor Parslow?
Yes, my impression is that the solar would not be eligible for the Growing Communities Fund.
Yeah, we looked into that.
The only reason I'm saying that is I was so shocked that it wouldn't be, given the move to net zero, right? Seemed to be an illogical position of this provincial government to take.
Yeah, I remember now that you say that, we looked into that right away.
Yes, we looked into it right away. Melissa's predecessor reported it out, yeah.
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 Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Thanks, Councillor Parslow. Thanks, Councillor McDonald. Any other discussion? All right, I'm going to call.
Your Worship, just before we vote, can we just confirm that the resolution on the screen matches Councillor Parslow's intent?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so those that are watching, the motion is that the report number 25-057 from the General Manager of Community Services regarding Ovintiv Event Center bowl lighting be received. Further, that council directs staff to reallocate $390,000 from capital reserves to fund the Ovintiv Event Center bowl lighting capital project. All right, I'll call this question. Vote is closed. It's carried. That's going to vary the agenda to 6.1, resolution to move into the meeting of council closed to the public Agenda item 2.2, section 91I, the receipt of advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. Motion, Councillor Kemp, second Councillor Sudnick. That was all, right, Janice? Just that one, okay. All right, I'll call that to vote. Vote is closed. It's carried.
059 from the Development Services Manager, Ministry Response 2025 Short-Term Rentals Principal Residence Requirement Opt-out Request be received for information.
Thank you, Councillor Sudnick. Do I have a second? Councillor McDonald? Discussion, Councillor Earl?
Just thank you to staff for the prompt response. Good, peace of mind in today's world is few and far between. So it's good to know we're not going to find ourselves in a tough situation.
Thank you, Councillor Earl. Any other discussion? All right, I'll call this motion to vote. Vote is closed. It's carried. Next order of business, 10 bylaws. 10.1, we have report number 25-060 from the Chief Financial Officer regarding 2025 to 2029 financial plan bylaw number 4603, 2025 for consideration of adoption. Councillor McDonald?
Thank you, Worship. I'd like to move the report number 25-060 from the Chief Financial Officer regarding 2025 to 2029 financial plan bylaw number 4603, 2025 be received. Further, that the 2025 to 2029 financial plan bylaw number 4603, 2025 be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor McDonald. Do I have a second? Councillor Sudnick? Any discussion? I just had a comment on this. I know that this is a 5-year plan, and obviously annually we review it with budgets. I just like for going into 2026 budget planning, I'm personally just going to have a hard time looking at a substantial or any increase next year besides inflation and appreciation that we're dealing with. I think we are doing things to look at generating new revenue to our community and some new growth, but I just it's getting tough to put this pressure on our existing tax base without growing it. So I know this is 5-year. I just wanted to put that out there. I just I know we've done a great job at all levels minimizing the amount that we're increasing this, but just feeling it and hearing it in the community a bit. So so I just wanted to put that out there. Councillor Earl?
No, I was just going to thank staff for the work going into it. I guess, a couple notes. The 3 funds we are drawing down. I think there was a note where the word deficit was bandied about. So to be clear to the public, we are legally prohibited from running a deficit. Drawing down reserves to pay for infrastructure is, maybe in an accounting sense, you could describe that fund as being in deficit, but generally speaking, this is what reserve funds are intended for, is to pay for roads, to pay for sewers, to pay for other infrastructure. So otherwise, I do note the mayor noted the annual increase is scheduled as we retire the event center debt. That scheduled increase, whether or not it occurs, is reduced around that time. So it's been tough. We spent the first 3 years in office in my time here cutting pretty significantly. And then realized that barring closing a lot of facilities that people identified as being vital to their quality of life, we were kind of at the limit of what we could cut and still have a community that people recognized. And as the mayor noted, we're headed into, without something to spur economic growth, we're headed into a few years of very tough decisions about how we cover ever increasing costs, whether it's a matter of we increase fees or taxes, or we just have less, or some combination thereof. So, and that'll be a conversation for future councils, but I do appreciate staff's work in putting together this 5-year plan, both as a vision document for us and as part of our compliance with what the province requires of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Earl. I agree. Councillor Parslow?
Well, again, I think staff has done a good job here. The bullet listing of factors that will hit us is only compounded by the loss of revenue that we have incurred in the last year or two. BC Hydro comes to mind. The fair share drop, increased costs to we carry forward for the SPCA, significant amount every year. Additional staff that was approved by council. Just to add millions to the scenario. This is presented with the fact that we looks like we're entering into a worldwide recession, with a whole bunch of variables and things that our wildest imagination can't take us on. So I'd say that it's there's so many variables, it's hard to predict the future.
No.
For sure. And then, other issues such as that we have been talking about in camera, they're going to be big factors as well. So I think this is that we're required to submit a 5-year plan, and it's still fraught with all sorts of variables. But I think it's a good summary. So I will support this.
Yeah. Thanks, Councillor Parslow.
Sorry.
Councillor Earl?
Thank you, Worship. I'll be quick. Just a question through to staff. On page 3 of 12, the top bullet point, anticipated assumptions, the loan repayment, $350,000 loan repayment from MOPS in 2026. How confident are we in that? Because based on the conversation we had when they were here as a delegation and open, they were somewhat, I don't want to say cagey, but they weren't suggesting that that was going to be payable with any confidence. And I mean, I don't want to presume, but I'd rather we proceed conservatively and assume it's not coming back to us rather than look at things through rose-colored glasses and be disappointed.
Well, through your worship, I guess that from a staff perspective, we're led to believe it's going to be repaid. I understand your concerns. I heard the same ones, but I'm not in a position to make that assumption.
Well, it's a signed agreement. We're assuming the agreement's going to be honored. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. Melissa, did you want
to? Through your worship, and I did want to just draw attention to, because this is a report that is just based on assumptions right now, and those assumptions can change. And so just like that loan, it could change. And so that is going to have an impact that if that funds aren't returned, you're looking at $350,000, which is, another 1.75%. And the other one that I really wanted to draw attention to, just that it isn't in a bullet, but it was in the paragraph above, is that this plan was built on the assumption of a 1% increase in property tax assessment rates. And so if that doesn't occur either, we are looking at decisions that will need to be made in the fall. So Kevin and I talked, and we just want to draw attention that there is a lot of things that can change, and decisions could be needing to be made in the fall, come that and how we handle that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? No? All right, I will call this.
Ask a question?
Councillor McDonald?
That 1% you just highlighted there, was that for the operation of the splash park? Or will the increase to operate the splash park need to be added to that as well?
Through your worship, there were no increased costs added for the operation of the splash park because it won't be operating within the 2026 year. It's not included in the year subsequent. Once we know what it will, that will be an increase in a future year. But right now, it's not in the 2026 plan, which when we're looking at this, it is a 5-year plan, but we also do place the most important on really heading into 2026 because we know next year that's going to be looking at impacting the rates.
Okay.
And through your worship, the 1% that Melissa was highlighting it's the assumption that we'll see an increase in the assessment.
Yeah, in assessment values, not tax.
Yeah.
Market or non-market?
Councillor Parslow?
So, yes, that's a bit of news to me that the splash park will not be operational in 2026. I'm surprised at that. I would have thought it'd be built in this year, and so why does it take so long?
That was in the capital planning, that it would be 2026.
So through your worship, as we go through the planning process for the splash park, we're working on the design right now. We recognize that Northern Health permitting will likely take some time. They've indicated they're very interested in reviewing it thoroughly. We expect construction to take place in 26. We're not assuming that it's going to be done in 26, so we're allocating open in 27 after deficiencies are taken care of. A splash park is a complex project. Lots to consider, logistics as well, of getting all the parts and pieces together. We're being conservative in our 27 opening deadline.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Parslow. Any other discussion?
Sorry, I got one more on that one.
Councillor McDonald?
The Growing Communities Fund had to be spent by the fall of 2026, is that true?
2027.
2027? 2027, okay, so we'll still fall within that line, being able to use the money. Okay.
Any other discussion? All right, I will call this motion to vote. Vote is closed. It's carried. Next order of business, 10.2, report number 25-058 from the Deputy Corporate Officer regarding City of Dawson Creek Animal Responsibility Amendment Bylaw number 4605, 2025 for consideration of first 3 readings. Councillor Earl.
Thank you, Your Worship. I will move the recommendation that report number 25-058 from the Deputy Corporate Officer regarding City of Dawson Creek Animal Responsibility Amendment Bylaw number 4605, 2025 be received. Further, that the City of Dawson Creek Animal Responsibility Amendment Bylaw number 4605, 2025, which permits licensing cats and dogs through a digital platform, revises the license period from the calendar year to 365 days from date of issue, and revises parameters for applying to reclassify nuisance or high-risk animals, be given first 3 readings.
Thank you, Councillor Earl. Second, Councillor Apollonio. Any discussion?
Just, I guess, note the addition of the digital platform is as a result of the negotiations with SPCA about us taking that aspect of the contract back in-house, and we retain that revenue moving forward, correct? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Earl. All right, anything else? Discussion? No? I'll call this motion to vote. Vote is closed and it's carried. Next order of business is 11, Mayor's Business, 11.1, Mayor's Updates. Sorry, I was just reading a couple of my notes. Feel a little bare without my computer beside me right now. Just getting some work on it. Yeah, I had numerous community conversations. I mean, a lot around economic development. I've been hearing a lot about. Yeah, majority of that. But I've had a lot. Nothing really that sticks out that I haven't had discussions about already. NDIT Regional Advisory Committee meeting. a few weeks ago, held in Fort St. John. So, yeah, it was a good meeting. There was a lot of attendance. There was actually some First Nations that were invited to it as well, so it was good for that. And yeah, I don't have much more to follow up on that as of yet. 3 Seniors Hall lunch presentations. So I went to Seniors Hall a few Mondays ago just to present on our capital projects for this year. Just spoke to that and really just answered any questions. I was pretty brief on my presentation. It was a couple minutes. I find going to those, I get a lot more out of just opening the floor up for questions. So it was good. Lots of good dialogue there. Went over a lot of the capital projects, explained a lot of the work that the city's done actually on, our road building, and accessibility actually was brought up as well. So it was nice just to be able to speak to all of that, and how when we redo a street that we're looking at every aspect of the street, from lighting to water to sewer to sidewalks, accessibility, and one of the reasons why we can't replace every street in our community in a short time like some would like to see, but just to express that. So thank you. Kofi Conference, we attended that last week. Just a thank you to Councillor Sudnick and Councillor McDonald, who was well attended. It was in Prince George this year, a couple days, last Thursday and Friday, so it was well attended. I mean, there is definitely, the forest industry has faced a lot of struggles over the last, I haven't been in this chair that long, but I'm going to say 20 years, but the last while. So, like the BC Natural Resource one as well, there seemed to be a recognition of that from our provincial ministry, and they're addressing some of the challenges. So, let's hope that continues to move forward. There's a from the Premier in his mandate letter to the Ministry of Forest, it's about the allocation basically doubling to what it was last year. So it's mandated, and Minister Parmar spoke to it, and definitely, to me, just listening to him, he's got a passion about helping it move forward, and is not up there dictating. He's very open to discussion and ideas with industry. I felt that he has been. So yeah, it was good. But yeah, so that was last week. Sure, I'm missing a few things from that. Councillor Sudnick and McDonald can jump in at the end if they'd like. Chapel Hills, I was there a few weeks ago as well. Just gave a bit of an update as well, just on our capital projects. That was a really good one. There was probably about 30 that attended there. And we had a lot of great dialogue around a lot of questions they have or they're hearing in the community. I find those, when I can do those, I just find them so valuable, because you get real questions that people are asking or hearing in the community. So I just enjoy doing those. If there's any other places where people think I could do them, or just let me know. But yeah, it was good. I mean, the biggest one there is definitely healthcare is probably the one that gets brought up the most, and so it's a good avenue to explain the things that we've been doing and we're doing, and and then that leads into rural healthcare leadership group meetings. So I just wanted to give a little bit of a shout out to Mayor Hopeful of Lillooet, who organized at UBCM last year for mayors and directors, councillors to meet, considering the struggles that we're facing in rural healthcare. So this has kind of progressed from that meeting. So Minister Osborne met with us. So I want to say there was 20 rural healthcare leaders, or rural municipal leaders from rural communities, to talk about healthcare. So it was good. And the other thing that it opened my eyes to too is you have 20 rural communities at one table. Like, that hour is pretty valuable, I felt, to have some open dialogue. And I felt like Minister Osborne was very open to listening and allowing us to speak. So it, versus where UBCM, there's value, and NCLGA, there's value. Like, this one was just a small group, but it's 20, right? That makes up majority of the rural healthcare in our province. So it was great to have that conversation. So part of that too, they gave everybody kind of a minute to discuss rural healthcare issues in their community. And then there was 3 mayors or communities that were allocated like 5 to 7 minutes to speak. So I was pretty grateful that I was asked to be one of those. So as well as the North Piece, Mayor Hansen. So yeah, it was just good. We got to speak for myself. I got to speak a lot of what we've been working on, like Councillor Sudnick, myself, and all of us at council, speak of that. But really, it laid into my meeting with Minister Osborne a few weeks prior that I was able to just really like give the education that I've got from the doctors and our healthcare providers up here on what's causing some of these struggles. So yeah, that was good. Last regional health district spring joint meeting. So this is the first one I got to attend. Being the vice chair of the regional district allows me a seat as the vice chair of the regional health district board as well. So we get to go through all the capital expenditures. So it was a morning. This one was held virtually, but morning got a lot of updates from the CEO from Northern Health, Chiro, on operations. There was a lot of it's still continuing to be a lot of positive trends on their recruitment efforts. I don't have the numbers in front of me. I wanted to have them. I forgot to gather them for this. But so I do have them if you want afterwards, just ask. But there has been a net gain in healthcare workers across Northern Health. So yeah, there was a lot of positives. There's a lot of things they're still working on in that. This is a board meeting for capital. So it's rare that we talk too much about operational, but Chiro gave a presentation and a portion of it was on the operational wins that they're seeing. And I still, I know that it's a big part of our lives up here, Northern Health, and it's, one of the main things we hear about is healthcare, but I still stand behind, Chiro and his team and the direction they're going. There's a lot of their actions and things that they're moving forward to. Some of it's starting to come to fruition, and you're starting to see some wins at the ground level. So, yeah, that's all I had. Any questions on any of that? No? All right. Next order of business, 11.2, we have the delegation request from the Dawson Creek Judo Association. So, anybody like to attempt a motion there? Councillor McDonald.
Thank you, Your Worship. Before I make my motion, is there a way for us to put a, say, 1 month expiry on those passes?
Through Your Worship, I believe so. Last year we did track the usage just over the weekend. And so I'm not sure if they actually were valid for a year. That wouldn't be the intent of usually this one passes that we give for these type of events.
Okay.
And so the longer we track it, it is just more staffed because they're talking about the certificates that are issued and then continuing to track them over a weekend. If you extend that, it's still possible. It just.
So you believe they were only valid for the weekend already?
I believe.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Okay. So do you want me to make that as part of my motion then, that they're only valid for the weekend? Just to help us, to Councillor Earl's point earlier about us doing a better job of keeping track of the grant monies we actually have given out, and so that those that come in the last quarter of the year don't miss out, because we believe we gave out 100 but only used 25 of them, right? That gives us an option to give to many more. Okay, so I'd like to make a motion that we grant the 100 swim passes for the weekend of the Dawson Creek Judo Association tournament held here in Dawson Creek.
Thank you,
And
Councillor.
I'm sorry, he said the date, but I forgot the date.
Do we have a second? Councillor Sudnick? Discussion? I guess I just had some questions. 100 swim passes for the weekend. So last year it was only tracked for the weekend. Was the grant budget only charge that and then it was credited back, the difference? Because from what I remember, it was, I'm just curious how that works.
Through your worship. So yes, originally 100 swim classes were approved, which was a cost of $508. And so then I monitored and tracked when the event occurred and then connected with staff at the pool. And when only 29 were used, I reduced the amount charged to the grant budget to only $147. So it just requires that communication piece that isn't a problem. But yes, I agree with what Councillor Earl said, that on tracking, it's not necessarily criticism of the amount that's used. It's more on wanting to make sure I'm reducing as to what's charged to your grant budget.
Yeah, okay. I guess the other part, I mean, just to ask is what's the disadvantage of, I mean, having them valid for a year? Like we give them out with the intent that we want them used and we want bringing people into our facilities. So I guess just to counsel, like, I mean, besides the cost, what's the, you know, to me, if we're giving 100 out and, you know, 50 go to some Prince George residents, say, and they come back up here 3 months later and use our facility, I think there's still a win in that. So yeah, it's just kind of my thoughts around it is I guess the only difference would be is that you would have to track it longer is the main thing. But that then, or if there's youth that are part of the local organization that get those and they're maybe busy organizing or helping and don't get a chance to use it on that weekend, then they lose their opportunity to use that too. So it's, you know, we're giving them a gift that maybe, by the sounds of it, buses going up that weren't from the city Dawson Creek, that the local youth were probably the ones that didn't use it. So go ahead, Melissa.
Through your worship, the only other consideration is just our year-end date. And so December 31st, let's say you have an event that you've authorized in early December, and so your grant budget expires. If you're allowing those to continue over, then those are going to get expensed in your next year grant budget for when they're actually used. So it's another added complexity that you'd want to consider.
If you want them tracked, I guess, yeah.
Yes, and if you don't want to track them, then you're just going to have the full amount hit your grant budget, if that's what you were meaning.
Okay. And I guess just one other question, maybe to Ryan, but I know I've seen some of the new passes that are out there, like on the plastic cards that, and maybe those are different than this. Is this just on a piece of paper that it's printed, like on a business card style, or is it, because I know those plastic cards that were, you know, that we're giving for rec services, that was new, and I've just seen them at a few places and they're unique and people like them. So is it similar to the swimming ones, or?
I believe that we will not be using the plastic consumable card for this instance. It'll be some sort of paper portion, as the paper aspect will be considerably cheaper than the plastic consumable sort of one-time use.
Versus in the plastic gift card, yeah, thanks. All right, any other discussion? No, I'll call this motion to vote. Thank you, Councillor Sedney. Vote is closed. It's carried. All right, next 12, Chief Administrative Officer Operational Update.
Good afternoon. A few updates for you. 100B Avenue. Construction, I'm told, could start as early as April 14th. Weather dependent, of course, but they'll be getting in there and starting that project. Working with the businesses along there to work on, you know, with access, parking and all that. So that's happening. The arena is closing on April 13th. We have also on Sunday, April 13th, we have a OCP Transportation Master Plan engagement at the pool. So we're putting on a free swim and free climb as part of that. So, yeah, and we'll be set up at the pool for that engagement.
That's when, sorry?
Sunday, April 13th. We also have a Toonie Day on April 20th, so a week later, which will be same thing, swim and climb, Ryan, yep. So lots of things going on for families to get out and access. We've also got sweeping started. We've got sweepers out. We had some out on the weekend. We going this week. We should have 2 sweepers going approximately 16 hours a day once should be going. We were just getting the last sweeper up and running. Had some repairs to do earlier this week, so we'll be double shifting and going and trying to clean up the winter's mess. Water update, Kiskadna, not a lot has changed. It's stable. Honestly, the cold weather we had 10 days ago delayed the freshet a little bit, so that's good. It's better to, be a little bit more managed release. So there are some open water in some branches of the river, and I'm sure our next report or later this week, I'll probably see a bit more of an uptick in the levels of the weir, but things are steady and reservoirs are full, and we're not releasing from Bear Hole at this time. So, and yesterday there was a report of a wildfire west of town, kind of out Ground Birch direction. I don't think it was anything too serious, but it just speaks to the fact that it's dry enough for that to occur. And so that's going to be the case until we see things green up a little bit or we get some moisture. So,
Yeah, for sure.
other than that, I think unless you got some questions.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Just one quick question, just when you're mentioning the Easter weekend pool, like the Toonie Day, what's our hours for Easter weekend? Because are we open Friday and Monday?
We'll get that for you.
Okay, I was just curious, yeah.
Yep.
Is it normal to do that on an Easter weekend? Is that a common practice each year?
So, through your worship, I think right now we target right now, or our practice has been sort of the third Sunday of the month, or the third Sunday of the month. So it just so happens, if my math is correct, that so happens to be Easter weekend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I had somebody reach out to say, is that real that it's open Easter? I said, yeah, it would be. But I was just curious if that was normal on Easter weekend. But that makes sense. That's the third, so, okay. Thank you. Any other questions? No? All right. Next order of business, diary 13. Nothing in the diary. 14 consent calendar. Did anybody want to lift anything from the consent calendar? Councillor Parslow?
So in the consent calendar, where is that community Jan in Guilds? It's to do with revenue from the sale of cannabis stuff.
In the consent calendar? Well, there's 4.
Is it?
The third one?
The third one, yeah. Village of Dajin Gits. It sounds like a First Nation community. I just wondered which one. Queen Charlotte City. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
How
Thank
did
you.
you know that? Oh.
All right, can I get a
Well,
motion?
I've been to Queen Charlotte City when it was Queen Charlotte City, but
Can I get a motion to accept the consent calendar? Councillor Sudnick, second. Councillor Apollonio. I'll call that to vote. Your card's not in, Councillor.
I put it in.
Oh, it's good, okay. Vote is closed and it's carried. 15 media questions, no media here. 16 recess closed meeting. 16.1 resolution to move into the meeting of council closed to the public for agenda item 5.1, section 91E, the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements if the council considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interest of the municipality. Section 92B, the consideration of information received and held in confidence relating to negotiations between the municipality and a provincial government. In Section 91C, labor relations or other employee relations. Councillor Sudnick, second. Councillor McDonald. I'll call that to vote.
Vote is closed. It's carried. All right, we'll take however long we need and we'll be in closed.